Hello guys, today I'm going to be doing a little bit of how to pilot Doomsday. Very often I get asked questions about how to play the deck and how difficult it is to play, and sometimes I hear some misconceptions like this deck is the best Storm deck in the world, but no one plays it because it's just simply so hard to play, which I think is not true. I do think that the resource I used to learn this deck does not really make it very easy for a new player to learn. You have to sift through a bunch of information. Reading the Piles worksheet and trying to memorize a bunch of things in a Google Docs spreadsheet is really, really difficult. My best advice is literally to just sleeve the deck up and start playing. The more you play, the better you're going to get, and you'll get better much, much faster. But I'm going to teach you some little tricks and things about Doomsday, and I'm going to start off with a mistake I made the other week. And if you notice my sideboard here now, I very, very, very quickly cut that shitty Street Wraith, which I'm going to tell you why I cut it. Because I said I use it to dodge Red Blast. Well, I am a complete idiot. Because I, in fact, punted that game. Not only that, there is no situation where Street Wraith will dodge Red Blast when I'm already using Contract or Bargain to do just that. Can anyone tell me why? I've actually got... I gotta go to this. I've actually got the game right here. It's game 2 in this. I realized this after putting the Street Wraith in my sideboard, realizing I didn't need it. I'm going to tell you why as I go through this game. So I'm going to go through this game again. I think I went through it fast last time. I'm not really going to focus on what is going on in the first couple turns of this game, because it's not going to be relevant to what I'm talking about at this exact moment. Now, we're going to get to the critical turn here soon. Play a top. He brainstorms. This is not the critical turn. He's going to play a dig. If I remember correctly, he's going to dig. Yeah, he digs. And we're going to brainstorm. Now, he dazes, which isn't something that makes me happy, but we top deck Dark Ritual. Game over, we win. We know he... now, we're going to lead with the Dark Ritual. Well, it's not game over yet, because we don't know what's in his hand, right? He could be able to counter us. We're going to blind call Force of Will. Force of Will, Vendilion, click Red Blast. I need to dodge this Red Blast. I called the Force of Will. It's gone. Why, when I'm using a black spell to dodge Red Blast, do I have no fucking use for a Street Wraith ever? Why can I dodge it with just using the black spells? Well, because the black draw spells draw 4. And the only way you're going to be able to crack a diamond to get to your last card in your pile is by opening with that draw spell or using a top, which essentially lets you open with the draw spell so that you draw all 4 cards in your pile, leaving a Burning Wish on bottom to kill your opponent. Because I have a top here, it doesn't really matter if I had to go grab the diamond. I'm cracking this Burning Wish. In this case, I need to grab a Lotus Petal to cast the Burning Wish, crack the LED I already have to go get, so that my pile that I'm going to be picking up with my draw for will be top, Petal to play top, 2 diamonds, break the diamonds to the top, flop top to Burning Wish. He is dead. I mispile and grab Probe. In my defense, I wasn't thinking about Street Wraith or any of that stuff. I think in my own mind when I made this pile, I was thinking, I don't plan on casting it for blue. I plan on playing colorless. But in fact, that was incredibly stupid, right? Like, all I had to do was make this a Petal, and this game was a win. So this match, this game, was a punt. I could have 2-0'd this guy, ended up losing 1-2. I lost the last game. Anyway, that'll get me started with, let me go back to my cards here. Opening piles, what's efficient, and how this deck really works. The first thing I'm going to talk about here is, does putting Tendrils of Agony in your main deck ever help you do anything? And the answer in most cases is no. And the reason the answer is no is because cracking 1 diamond to something will not pay for Tendrils of Agony. And once you're cracking 2 diamonds, you can always play Burning Wish. So all this does is reduce your storm count by 1 to move it in. There are some situations where you might want to bring Tendrils in if you had multiple copies. But in this build and the way I play it, you are never going to be bringing this Tendrils of Agony in. And if you're using even, say, a draw 3, there is just no way without extra mana that there's going to be anything more efficient that is going to require you to have the tendrils already in your deck, unless you're not cracking any diamonds. That's just the bottom line with how the draw works. So, first let's go over how I have this deck built. 8 control spells, 4 duress, 3 therapy, 1 chain of vapor main deck. There's something to be said for playing 4 Cabal therapies and putting a Thoughtseize in your sideboard instead of this Cabal therapy as a Burning Witch target. There are a couple reasons I prefer to do it this way. Though I think Cabal therapy is maybe slightly stronger in the main deck than a duress is. I don't like having to lose life if I have to wish out a Thoughtseize. That's the first thing. I don't really like the Thoughtseizes. Second thing, I have 4 wishes, and I like being able to wish for a therapy because I think it's stronger. And the third thing is, having 4 duresses plus 4 probes in my main deck will have me have a better chance of being able to see their hand initially to pick it apart with the discard. Because oftentimes, we're not going to want to use our probe because we want to open piles with it. You may ask why this is. It's because Ponder and Brainstorm are not really used to open piles. These are the cards we use to craft our hand for the most part. This is what their job is. The job of Ponder and Brainstorm is to craft your hand so you can get to Dark Rituals and Doomsdays and Burning Wishes and LEDs so that you can go off. They're going to be the cards you're using first predominantly. Top can do crafting in a slower hand, but it also is fast in the sense that it's very easy to crack a diamond to it. It's essential for using Infernal Contract in a lot of ways, other than actually using the spell to open your pile. So mainly we're going to be using these to craft, but using Probe is also a great card to open a pile with. And when you've got a combo where you've got 2 cantrips, whether it be this Ponder or already having a top in play, is even better because you already paid for it. Probe is very commonly used to snipe an LED off the top of your Doomsday pile, so you can now crack a diamond and then just win with a 4-card pile. That is done all day, all the time. So, the Singleton Chain of Vapor. It's a card that I like to run in my main deck. I like having an out to onboard threats. I like being able to tempo someone's kill a turn. I don't think the third pedal is worth very much. And just like the third pedal, it's easy to pull in a matchup where you don't need it. But additionally, there are matchups where there are just permanents that just wreck this deck. And I play 4 Abrupt Decays. Some people only play 3. I love being able to, I guess they don't want to drag over there, I love being able to play 4 Abrupt Decays and my Chain of Vapor main and have a Void Snare on my Burning Wish, so that I have a very good chance of being able to get rid of their onboard threats, in addition to the Massacre extra for Death and Taxes and Thalia, because onboard hate permanents will really wreck your day. It doesn't matter if it's a Pyrostatic Pillar, it doesn't matter if it's a Trinisphere, it doesn't matter if it's a Choke. There are just so many permanents that we don't want to have to deal with. In addition, there are just lots of matchups where the Duress just isn't very good, and bringing in all 4 copies of the Abrupt Decay is. Even if they're not matchups that are particularly bad matchups, I like having lots of good cards for them. And the other cards that I could run here, there's something to be said maybe for Pyroclasm or something like that over there. Or I guess that would technically still be in this slot. But I don't feel like I need another one of those effects when Decay is just better against all sorts of things. And being able to snipe a counterbalance, for instance, and stuff like that. If you look here, I have quite a few draw spells here. The first thing is I run 2 copies of Infernal Contract and Cruel Bargain. And the reason that is because I like to bring this card in when I'm trying to dodge Red Blast. And I also like being able to still Burning Wish it out. There's no real reason they have to have separate names. I guess Meddling Mage, but if they're calling Infernal Contract or Cruel Bargain, they're doing it wrong anyway. Another reason Abrupt Decay is good. So I still like being able to wish one out when I bring one in. Dig Through Time is obviously not wishable, but we can bring it in at anything that's trying to burn down our hands, or anything that we think is going to grind our hand down and kill our onboard permanents, stuff like that, so that we can refill with it quickly and then hopefully win on the next turn. And the Time Spiral, The Time Spiral is really nice because it also gives you a Burning Wish target that lets you literally reset. And this deck, playing 17 lands more than a normal Storm deck, and using top to be able to manipulate top decks, you can really fight through discard decks that don't put a real clock on you, or even counterspell decks that are looking for that late game bomb, or like a true control deck that's not tempo. You can easily get enough lands in play to be able to use maybe just a Burning Wish and a single LED or something to use Time Spiral and instantly untap into a win, no problem. In fact, this is a separate engine than Doomsday. You can actually win without casting Doomsday if you're able to get to this Time Spiral through the Burning Wish. So, this is a card some people, I guess, fell out of favor. It never did with me. It's a very, very strong card in my opinion. I would not cut it. Another weird card you'll see that I run that almost no one does is the sideboard Ideas Unbound. And the reason is simply efficiency. Being able to have a Burning Wish target that is 1 mana more efficient than the Cruel Bargain is going to be very important in situations where you're not cracking a diamond to the Burning Wish, where you have lots of Dark Rituals, or even if you are cracking a diamond to the Burning Wish where you cannot use... cannot just half your life again when your life total is just so low. In general, it has been good. And the other reason it's good is when you're not cracking a diamond and you're just using a wish to go grab a draw spell to cast, not on the same turn. It's been very, very good to have Ideas Unbound there. The reason this isn't a preordain or something like that is simply when you're grabbing it with the Burning Wish, the reason you're doing that is because you want to open a Doomsday pile. And when you want to open a Doomsday pile, this is simply more efficient than a preordain or anything like that. So that is the reason we're playing those draw spells. You need a Wishful Discard spell. Cabal Therapy already went over. This is mainly Thalia hate, but you need it. Void Snare. Pretty much it's just there to be wished. You don't bring it in. Just to have a wishable bounce spell for anything. Any kind of hate permanent. So that in addition to this Chain of Vapor we're running, we now have 4 ways to get rid of any of those cards game 1. In addition to games 2, after we brought in even more hate, we can still go and grab it. Tendrils of Agony is our kill condition. 1 Doomsday in the sideboard, so it's official. It's almost like we get to play 7. Burning Wish is very, very strong in this deck. I would not play the new black spell. Burning Wish is just too good, and that card costing 5 means all sorts of problems for a deck that's not running nearly as many rituals and doesn't want to, and really can't afford to because it has to play top. And the Empty the Warrens is here for a couple of reasons. The Empty the Warrens is great against Leyland of Sanctity, especially if they board in 4 or something like that, and they get 2 in their opening hand, and you can't wish to bounce it away. It dodges the Abrupt Decay. It's also good for when you don't think you're going to get another window to go off. You can make a 4-card pile with Empty the Warrens and just put like 14, 16 goblins in play. Stick a Doomsday on the bottom of your pile so you don't mill yourself out, especially if they haven't put any threat on you. Controlling decks and stuff like that, you can easily go for a fast Empty the Warrens when your storm count isn't high enough, or if your hand has been grinded down and they don't really have a clock, or they've countered your hand down and you can't get your storm high enough to actually kill them. So that is the reason for the cards in my sideboard as they currently stand. I do not run a secondary win condition in the Lab Man. I do not run the Miracle package. I just simply do not like those plans. I like making my Burning Wish stronger instead. I like playing all 4 Abrupt Decays instead. I don't mind having a Tropical Island in my main deck. So those are my reasons for my sideboard choices as of right now. And I'm a little more happy with my playing a couple more games with this deck recently. So let's go through some of the other cards. Sensei's Divining Top. Sensei's Divining Top is vital to this deck because of its interaction with Lion's Eye Diamond. Being able to just throw this out and crack Lion's Eye Diamonds post-Doomsday is incredibly, incredibly important. Even before Doomsday, like in response to a Burning Wish to go get Doomsday. Not only that, this card will help you fight through discard and such. So, when you look at hands and you're trying to figure out what you want to win, in order to go off, you don't need a Dark Ritual, and you don't need a Diamond, but you're probably going to need one or the other to go off fast. The only exception would be somehow you draw both your petals, and something like that, and then you have maybe a Probe to turn into a Diamond off your Doomsday. Like, let's say you have a turn 1 top, and then you have a couple petals to cast your Doomsday. You can all of a sudden get Tax and Probe to pull an LED off top of your deck, and then you can use your top now to win, because with LED and top, you're always going to be able to win with Ideas Unbound, because you're just going to crack the LED to your top. Ideas Unbound will now take 2 of the mana, the other one will go into Recasting Top, and now you've got 2 Lion's Eye Diamonds to break into your Doomsday. Since this would look like a 4-card pile, you can always slip a probe into the pile, as long as your life total allows, to just feed yourself an extra storm to go get an extra card. A lot of the times you're just sticking that extra diamond on top of your deck and putting the 4-card pile on the bottom. What else do we want to talk about here? Here's something that's kind of interesting about this deck. Having, unlike other Storm decks, having multiple diamonds really rarely is going to help you. And you ask me, why is this? Because 1 diamond is enough to get to 2 diamonds once you get to your pile. So unlike other Storm decks, you don't need the double LED madness that would win you in a deck like Ant, where you're just using a Infernal Tutor and you're like, oh, Dark Ritual, Infernal Tutor, crack a couple of diamonds, ad nauseum, kill you, in one of those type decks. So having 1 is more than sufficient, and having like an LED and a Dark Ritual, that's pretty much enough to just get there, as long as you've like LED Dark Ritual top Burning Wish, bam, LED Dark Ritual top Doomsday, bam, and being able to use Gitaxian Probe to go find this single LED you need off the top is one of the things that makes this deck very, very good. When I first started playing it, I bet I missed, I don't even want to know how many lines, because I didn't think about simply just pulling a diamond or a petal to cast a Burning Wish to crack a diamond I already had off the top of my deck, or something of that nature. In general, when you pilot this deck, what you're looking to do is, in the first couple turns, you want to slam top typically as fast as you can. You don't really want to even activate it right away. You need to get it on the board. And then you want to use your Ponders before you use your fetch lands with your hard lands, so that you get additional shuffles, and use your Brainstorm in conjunction with your fetch lands, just like any other deck, to craft a hand that lets you win. And you want to use your Duress and Cabal Therapy effects to fight through counter spells and hate permanents relevant to each matchup, and you can use these cantrips to find these cards as well. You can also use these cards to open your Doomsday pile, but in general this will be less efficient than opening them with Top, Probe, or Ideas Unbound. You can, however, quite easily crack an LED to one of these cards post-Doomsday, and then all of a sudden, once you're cracking an LED post-Doomsday, you will be able to make a pile that wins. The most simple piles that you will make with Doomsday are simply, oh look, an LED, oh look, an LED, oh look, my flip card, and here's a Burning Wish. And the only thing you'll be thinking about, what is the 4th card in my pile? Sometimes it's Probe just to add Storm. Sometimes you need a petal off the top with your top to go Burning Wish into something, and then you don't even need the Ideas Unbound. But really, it doesn't switch up all that much. Let's see here. What else did I want to talk about? Sideboarding. The way I sideboard this deck is very, very light. I don't sideboard a lot of cards in general in any matchup. Pretty much it's simply, if you need Abrupt Decays, you bring in the Abrupt Decays. Other than that, you bring in your Bargain or your Dig Through Time, your extra draw spells when you need your extra draw spells. And other than that, the rest of it is all Wish Tech. I don't bring anything else in. People say sideboarding this deck is sometimes difficult. I would very much disagree. You don't need to move very many cards at all. All you really need to think is, do I need Abrupt Decay, and do I need my Cruel Bargain / Dig Through Time? At least that's how I'm playing it right now, and it's actually working spectacularly for me at the moment. And a lot of times, you're pulling Duresses. You can always pull the petals. They're not necessarily needed in any way, shape, or form. You can pull Ideas Unbound if you're facing tons of Red Blast when you bring in the Black Spell, but I don't even like to do that. I really don't. I do not like cutting probes. I really don't. A lot of people like to cut Burning Wish, but with as much Wish Tech as I have and the way I built this deck, I don't like pulling Burning Wishes either. You can pull the Chain of Vapor when the Chain of Vapor is irrelevant. That's an easy pull. But really, sideboarding for this deck is really, really, really easy. In general, what you're looking to do is resolve a Doomsday. If you can resolve a Doomsday, you should probably be able to win. And Other than that, you just need to count your storm. But counting storm in this deck, also incredibly easy, because you're almost always going to be using a 5-card pile, and Burning Wish goes to get the tendrils out of your sideboard. That is 6. So your Doomsday, since you cast a Doomsday, is 7. So the key here is you're already at 14 damage. You look at their life, and for each 2 life above 14 they are, you need to cast that many cards before you cast the Doomsday and you kill them. It's really that simple. An easy way to do it is when you look at your hand and you count and you go, okay, Doomsday, Dark Ritual, I'm going to probe to open my pile, I'm going to flip my top back into my pile, so you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 10, 20, they're dead. It's really that simple. So I really don't think this deck is as hard to play as it's made to be when you don't know how to look for lines. Once you can see the lines, it's actually fairly simple in general. You don't need to memorize, oh, this goes into this, or this goes into that, and that goes into this. It's more important to memorize things like, oh, Infernal Contract always draws 4. So if I need the last card in my pile to be a Burning Wish, I need to open my pile with a top. Because guess what, right? You open your pile with a Brainstorm and grab an Infernal Contract, how are you ever going to crack a diamond? The answer is you're not. So the only way you're ever going to be able to win with that is if you have some obscene amount of mana that you almost never have, and you're not cracking a diamond, and you're casting your Burning Wish without picking a card up, or if you already... well, I guess that's not entirely true. You can crack a diamond if you already have the mana to go Infernal Contract and Burning Wish, but being able to cast Infernal Contract and Burning Wish and a Doomsday, possibly a second Burning Wish is how you got your Doomsday, though. At that point, if you haven't cracked a diamond somewhere in there, I have no idea how you did all that. Maybe you just drew all your Dark Rituals. Oh, I didn't talk about Rain of Filth. Rain of Filth is an easy card to pull in matchups where they're wastelanding you. That should be fairly obvious. If they're wastelanding your hand down, this is an easy pull because it's going to be a really crappy Dark Ritual, and sometimes it won't do jack shit. So very easy to pull Rain of Filth when they're trying to wasteland you. So when you're looking at opening hand, what makes a good opening hand and what makes a bad opening hand, right? Well, you need mana to win. So you need diamonds and you need Dark Rituals. Because you have 3 Doomsdays and 4 tutors that can find Doomsday, not having one of these is not the end of the world as long as you have one of these 8 cantrips that's good at finding them. And the Brainstorms are much weaker when you don't have the fetch lands, obviously. So you can take hands that have multiple of these cards, but those are sometimes the trappiest hands you can take. Hands with lots of cantrips and land that don't already have any Dark Ritual, don't have already any LEDs, no Burning Wish, no Doomsday. If you don't have these things to start with, it's going to be very hard to find them all in time to win. In certain matchups, you will very, very, very much want your Duresses and your Cabal Therapy, but the bottom line is, if you can't find your win, what are these cards going to do? So getting like 3 Duresses, not good. Even if you're playing against a deck with lots of counterspells, don't want 3 Duresses. No. Duress Therapy, good. Another thing to talk about here is this little Cabal Therapy Tax and Probe interaction. Very popular in Legacy, but it's a little bit different here in Doomsday because we're using these probes so often to pick Lion's Eye Diamonds and things off the top of our deck in our Doomsday pile, and because it's just simply efficient to open with them, say you just don't have any mana after casting the Doomsday, you can crack an LED to this probe now to win. You really have to be careful about using the probe early with your Cabal Therapies. Sometimes it, in fact, is the right play, especially against a deck by the time it gets to Game 2, if you already know what you're playing against, that plays Force of Will and Heavy Permission and things like that. But in general, if you don't have another way to open your pile left yet, and you're still like digging for a Doomsday or a Burning Wish or a diamond or a card to go off, and you're still waiting to try and find it, it may not be a good idea to burn the probe out. Now, if you already have a Sensei's Top, which is also very good at opening piles, go ahead and get rid of the cards in their hand, especially if you know they're a deck that uses lots of counter spells. Top is a very, very, very good card for lots of reasons. It's also a card that hurts the deck and helps at the same time. Because in general, Top is a slow card for a Storm deck. It's just slow by nature. But at the same time, it will let you go late against a lot of decks, but the main reason it's very, very important is the flop top interaction and just being an onboard permanent and having already paid for your free cantrip, and in addition letting you use this dodge REB type line. Just very, very good. Very often in this deck, when you get a top in your hand, the correct play, if you're not sure what to do, is usually play your top. Playing your top turn 1 is typically very strong. Unlike other Storm decks, like let's say you have this and this, you're probably leading this, not this. Though I don't think most Storm decks play more than one of this, or if any right now. I don't know what the current perfecter deck is that they're playing, but it probably has 14 or 15 lands instead of 17, and it's not running tops, or maybe it's running a top or something. It's not something they want to play when they're jamming in Cabal Rituals, Max Petals, and stuff like that. It's not really any room for it, and in their deck, since they're not using it like we are with Doomsday, it's really not going to be worth it to them because it's just slow. Let's see here. Ideas Unbound. People sometimes think that drawing Ideas Unbound is a bad thing. I disagree. Drawing an Ideas Unbound can be a bad thing in that you now have to get this plus like this to have some kind of a fast line. So it can be good, you just have to know when it's good. If you can Dark Ritual into your Doomsday, you can still go off on your natural turn 3 by Ideas Unbounding to a very simple like LED probe type pile. One of the reasons it's not as strong is it makes it hard to just get the initial mana to do all of this without cracking a diamond. That's just the bottom line. It's almost better sometimes to be able to crack this Burning Wish to a diamond to go get my other Ideas Unbound, though in some cases this card does just as well. But also, when you do draw this card, you can now more liberally use this card to go get what you need. In addition, because this isn't a draw 4, it's a draw 3, if you have these cards in combo and you're short on mana, you can all of a sudden use this card to pick up this card and make a simple 4-card pile with this. So a lot of cool things you can do with just picking cards off the top of your Doomsday pile and stuff like that. In general, I think once you've played the deck enough, you'll get a feel for what you're trying to do with it. It may seem daunting at first putting together piles, but once you're playing against real opponents and you can see that you're flowing to pretty much the same game states almost every time,